Good morning.
Good morning. Like, oh crap, start the intro. Well, we went from being early, killing time to, oh, shit, we're
I
late.
know. We were like, well, what do we do now? And then we started something else, and here now we're late again. Doesn't work.
Yep. Story of our lives.
Right.
For for anybody new, because we have Instagram going on, you can kind of see the top of my phone here. Um, if you have questions about earthbound spirits, portals, negative energy, feel free to ask in comments, and Marianne's going to answer for you.
Right.
But how many of you maybe came to the book club last night, right before we did the clearing? I know there were a few. Let's see, and while we wait, we'll go through some good mornings. So, good morning, everybody. Let's see. That was fun and interesting, and I'm kind of glad that my electric bill will be on the downslope now. There won't be any more flipping on the lights. I know Debbie
Well, the
was with
little
us.
right, the little girl said that she would come and visit you once she crossed over.
Oh, well, good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So that's good. Hmm.
Let's see. Hey, Karen was with us in the book group. She joined us virtually and had some good fun comments. Her and Brooke. That was
Talk about playing off one another. You betcha. Right.
let's see. Hello, Divine. And Chris was kind of there with us. Let's see. And has anybody listened to the podcast yet this morning? And it's kind of got a Halloween theme to it. Let's see if anybody was there with us. We have our first question here from James. He says, what is the difference between an earthbound and a shadow person?
It could be nothing. It could be that that is how you're perceiving the earthbound spirit as a shadow person. That's how you're seeing it. Or actually, it can be one that crossed over. And it's how their energy is at the time. That's how you see them. And just keep this in mind. Just because they're a shadow person doesn't mean they're bad. That can be a perfectly good one.
Oh, Marianne, we need to go into business on manifesting things because guess what? Lewis is back, and this is one of the things we ran late on. We're like, we haven't seen Lewis. I hope he's okay. Where has he been?
And that's why we were late. We were wondering where Lewis was at. For heaven's sakes, there you are.
Like, in all seriousness, this is what we were like, oh. But yeah, we're like, hey, was he on? And I'm like, I think he did pop on very briefly after the Queen died and mentioned being in the line. And yeah, I'm like, then I think he had to pop right off because somebody tried to talk with him. He didn't answer back. So there we go. And everybody's missing and glad Lewis is back.
He's got his own little group of groupies.
Well,
Well,
welcome,
thanks for
Wendy.
that,
Feel free to
Wendy.
ask questions. Da, 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 da. Jules says, one of my quincees in the plastic looks exploded, burst open. What does it mean, and is it still working?
Well, that tells me that you were around a negative. Somebody was either trying to put negative energy on you, or you were very close to an earthbound spirit, and they were coming close to you. If the plastic around the seed is broken, send it back, and I will replace it for you.
Mm-hmm. Throwing up all of Lewis's
Fans.
parties. And we did have Debbie listen to the podcast, and she said, let's hope the professor warns his kids about that broad.
I hope so.
That one was interesting, and it's another good reason not to joke around and take too lightly working with a spirit board.
That's right.
Um, and somebody must have asked about the podcast. It is called When Ghosts Speak. Thank you, Heather. She's got it down. It is everywhere except Apple Podcasts because Apple is Apple. Will not take the stream for whatever reason. And I'm done funning with them. I have more things to do,
It's
like
not
drink
worth
more coffee. Yeah. So you can listen to it free on any other platform. And Christine, yeah, I'm like, Christine was there. She was around the corner, but you were there.
it. Yes.
And let's see, Amy saw the book club and heard the podcast. She's already doing all the things.
All right.
And Karen was watching, and you know what? There was an email that came in. I have to go back and fully read it. But Karen got to see live help Dorothy, Bruce, and the little boy that was currently hanging out in the building. And Marianne, you did close a portal and get rid of another
Red.
person.
Yeah, his nickname was Red, and yes, he had a big head of red hair, so I could see where his name, and he was out of the portal. He was one of the people that. Did we ask him what prison he where he was electrocuted at? I don't remember
No,
asking.
and I was trying to look him up and the person that he, shot, that you gave me that name later.
Right.
And should have asked like if we knew the time period because it was not.
But he was put to death in 49, right?
I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to go back.
he
So
was put to death in 49. Who knows how far back you have to go?
did he say what prison or what state?
No, and I never asked. He never said. And the judge, see, it threw me. I would say Ohio, but I know Ohio has orange jumpsuits in their prison, the striped ones. But now it dawned on me, if 49, I bet they were all striped back then. So I don't know what state he was from.
This might take some digging.
Figuring out, right.
Julie was with us last night. Thanks for helping move those chairs out of the way, Julie. Hello, City. There was the comment, your ghost decoration.
This has been an unusual Halloween. Ted and I have gotten so many Halloween cards, and some of them are so extravagant. But this ghost came to me in the mail. Of course, I have to admit, this ghost came from our favorite oldest daughter.
The favorite oldest.
The favorite
Not the
oldest
favorite
daughter. No, this is the favorite oldest daughter.
And Melanie must have listened because this is why I refuse to allow spirit boards anywhere near my home.
Smart lady.
Let's see. And we have a question from Instagram. It says, did the spirits last night want to cross?
The man from the portal did not. He went right back in the portal. He said, no way. Of course, he was only, 26 years old. He wasn't very old. And again, he said he was having way too much fun.
Because Bruce even tried to help talk him into it.
Right. And Bruce was nice enough to make sure that the little kids got got into it. And here was a really good example because, again, adult spirits hardly ever hang out together, but kids do. And Dorothy and Roger, wasn't that the little boy's name? Roger. Roger went, fine, I'll take her with me. I'll make sure she goes. It's like,
this reminds me of the little kid where the little girl has the crush on the boy, and he's like,
right.
Couldn't be bothered with it.
And that's just how he was acting. It was like, oh my gosh, that it was normal.
It was sweet. And I'm glad that they were going to follow him in and just
Yeah,
move on.
Bruce
And it's
said
kind
he
of
would
nice,
help him, right?
girl,
Yeah.
that she's going to come back and visit because, she liked playing with the rocks and was mad that she couldn't get next door to do it. And I'm like, well, come back and run your hands through all the rocks when you cross over.
And see that,
So,
at least when that happens, I know that that side of the store is certainly secure, because if the kids couldn't get in, nobody else is going to get in.
right. So it was rather adorable. Um, Sandy, she's like, and to think we played with those 9-year-olds.
Yeah.
Um,
And I have to tell you, those little that little, Roger was what, 13, and the little girl was going to
mhm.
be 8 the next month. So she wanted to be 8 so bad. But I think it was funny that she did something else that I never heard a ghost say before. She said
Hmm.
that during the day when nobody was around, she would go take a nap because she was tired. I have never known an earthbound spirit to sleep ever. And we asked her where, and here she sleeps on the
The
what are those
massage table. It was the massage table in the room that our healer Nanette, Lucinda, and sometimes Dana use. So apparently, those 3 ladies are very good in the mom type of energy that
right,
she was choosing to sleep in there.
right,
So,
yeah.
and for those of you that are local, that's the room that's up against the wall that shares with the store, not the one that's up against the wall. That's the outside to
Okay,
the atrium.
okay,
So, so yeah, and I just kind of laughed. I'm like, oh, you could see that because these ladies have very healing and very motherly kind of energy to them and healing. So not that they all don't, but these are people that clearly have kids
right.
and that have that. And so for her to feel comfortable. But yes, Kathy, we are talking about the office space. So the office is now completely, that whole area, even that long L shape in the back is completely sealed off. So no more interruptions, no more lights being left on, which
Nope.
was actually the little girl.
Yes, and she admitted to it. Roger said he didn't. I didn't do it. Of course, that's what kids all 13 say. I didn't do it. Not
Not
me.
me, right?
Not me.
Yes, Lachelle, Joy does use that room. So Joy is another one, and she's a massage therapist, and she too has little
Okay, there
ones.
you
So
go. So,
yeah, so I'm like, oh, that's how interesting is
but see,
that?
you
That
can see how earthbound spirits will gravitate to somebody that they're comfortable with.
mm-hmm,
I mean,
mm-hmm.
the nice ones, not the ones that are just looking for trouble.
Yeah, like Red. And I'm sure he was
Yeah,
just being a jerk.
he was.
Um, so Heather asks, where did Dorothy and Roger come from? And they all 3 of those were from
The
the North
area.
Homestead area. Yeah.
Yeah, all 3 of them were. It's funny. I only, no, and neither of them were buried in North Olmsted, though. The
I
one,
know Bruce wasn't.
huh?
I know Bruce wasn't.
No,
Very
but the little girl was in Field Cemetery, she said, in North Ridgeville, which I've never heard of.
Hmm.
And the little boy said he was buried by water in Conneaut. So and I think that's by Sandusky, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I don't really know where that is, but I think it's by Sandusky.
I think there was an email, and hold on, Instagram, you're going to get to see it because you're pointed at my screen versus seeing what everybody else is seeing, and you see all of my cluttered email. So I got to find which email has this, but somebody I think sent in a quick hello and said I found them, and
Oh,
now I'm not seeing it, so I will have to go back and find where I saw that. But the little bit that I could see in the preview of the text said, like, I found them, Roger, and and I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so I'll have to share that in the show notes for the podcast, and we'll talk about it next week.
And for obvious reasons, we do not use the last name,
Mhm.
or try not to say actually what city we're in, where I'm doing this at. But uh, yeah, in this case, they were local for sure.
Yeah, so there was not, Kathy said, because she comes to Development Circle and Kathy does the Reiki share that was in that hallway where the chairs were up against the side for us. And she
Yes,
said, didn't know there was a little boy, knew about the girl and an older man, but we didn't have an older man there last
he
night.
wasn't there last night, and that's the thing. I can only get rid of or talk to who's there. I don't have that ability. I'm not a psychic. I can't tell who was ever there.
Hmm.
Uh, and because Bruce was talking so much, and I didn't even think to ask the kids, but I never even asked who else has been there. I guess we could have asked, but
Hmm.
there's always something you forget to ask.
Right. Um, let's see. So, the live showing of the clearing is no longer available to watch on YouTube. It came down. So if you get to watch it while we're doing it, that's fun. That's great. But then it comes down and I edit. It's going to be a podcast in about 2 weeks because we're recording after the live today for when to go out next week. So that'll be about 2 weeks out. The clearing of the office space. And then Julie said, "Did you meet the guy I call Marcus? He was very heavy and clingy. Clingy. He liked to be part of our groups."
No, he was not there. There was nobody over the age of 26 that was earthbound last night. It was a 26-year-old, a 22-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So nobody that was older. And again, that doesn't mean now, in all honesty, there were a couple people that brought ghosts in with them to that circle.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so maybe, no, the one was a woman and the other one was a man. And no, and he was not older or heavy, so I don't know who that is. But I did not see an older, heavy set man there, at least not last night.
Let's see. Yeah, Christine says she got to watch it on Twitch. So when we do these, I put them up on Twitch and I put it up on YouTube in case one fails, I can pull it down from the other. So, but look for the whole clearing coming out here in a couple weeks on the podcast. Um, and Sandy and Rhonda are saying Kanye is closer to PA, and Rhonda's wondering if it was Lake. I'm just going to
Oh,
put
is
it
the
up.
other way? Okay, like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, okay, yeah. You're right. You're right. I know exactly where that is now.
Um,
Wrong side of the state. That's a, my sense of direction sucks. Let me tell you.
oh, good question, Heather. She says, "What do you think attracted the spirits to the building? Do you think it was a positive energy from all the metaphysical work that happens there?" And it's funny because what did Bruce say?
That's exactly what Bruce said. He said, finally, somebody's here that sees me and I can talk to and can let me go see my mom. So, yep. And that's exactly what it was. And some of them had said that they couldn't get into the store side because it was secure. So they were just waiting until there were groups or people using this section, and that's when they would come in. So yeah, and especially when some of the people have seances there and that type of thing, you're going to for sure get them. Well, not anymore, but you were
Right.
getting them right.
But yeah, Marcus was like, "This is the place that somebody's gonna finally hear and see me and help me."
That's right.
Did the little kids ever say why they, or were they just kind of bopping around? Because the little girl would hang out often with the amount of times I would find my lights on.
I think kids, first of all, they had each other and kids like kids, so that was good. Even though there was like a 5 year age span difference, that's fine because the kid died in 49, I believe, if I remember correctly. And a 13-year-old in 1949 probably acted like an 8-year-old today
Mm.
because kids are so much more mature and smarter now, I think.
Yeah.
I would never have told him he wasn't smart, but definitely. And again, where they're going to stay where they're comfortable, and little kids don't need quite as much energy as an adult does.
Mm-hmm.
And where did Bruce say he hung out at the gas station? No, who
That
hung out
was
at
Roger. Roger would go up by the gas station.
Roger, the little kid when nobody was around? Because
Yeah.
he says that place was always busy. Figure a gas station. Yeah. Well, even with, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that one's open, if not 24, like close to it. So there's always something
Going on. Okay.
people there. Kathy said, so Melissa, what was that mist I saw in your office? Was it one of the kids? And it could have been, because you can tell by my shirts, I'm a giant child. I have one of those tall, like Oogie Boogies that if you push one of his hands, he'll sing the song, and it sits kind of close to me. But now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, like just outside of a 3-foot area from me. So if I'm sitting at my desk typing and I'm like leaning, it would be about there. And Kathy stopped in to talk one day this past week, and she just looked and she goes, huh. And I'm like, what? And she's like, there's something weird by that Oogie Boogie. And I'm like, maybe it was one of the kids trying to play with it.
I bet you it was.
So.
And it probably would not have been Dorothy, because she was so shy that the whole time she was peeking at us by the screen.
Mm-hmm.
I bet it was Roger playing with him. That would make more sense to me.
Karen's which one lived by Barton Road? And I wasn't that Dorothy? I think we just did this last night, and I'm already
one was Canterbury and one was Barton. I don't remember which was which. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the little girl was Barton.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she was the Barton Road, because I'm like, yeah, that's close.
Yeah, because I don't know where that is, and I know I've seen the other one, Canterbury, but I didn't think that was that close to you. But think this: if he was the one, Roger was the one from Canterbury. In 49, this didn't look anything like, this building wasn't even in existence in 49.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they travel. They're just going to go where there's people. And the little girl hated cars. She liked horses.
Right.
But how many cars were there around when she was alive?
Mm-hmm.
She was from the, she
had been the longest out of all of them, if I remember correctly.
She died in 33.
And we calculated.
And Roger was born in 44.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had to do the math.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she had been deceased the longest out of all of them.
Yes.
Bruce, even though he was the oldest, had been dead the least amount of time.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, and even he was dead for a while, because he died in 74. So they've been dead for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We got a quick question here from Sandy. It says, I have a cousin whose husband was cremated. She buried half of his ashes in Akron, and the other half she took to a different state and scattered his ashes in the woods. Does this confuse the spirit?
No, not at all. Seriously, once they're cremated or buried, it's pretty much over and done. Every now and then I get a really cranky, cantankerous person that is all angry that their ashes still haven't been spread. They're sitting on the mantle. But normally it's fine. We have so many people now that will send us just a quarter of a teaspoon of ash. And the guy my jeweler that makes up the charms, he will put just a little tiny bit of an ash in one of the charms. So people are doing that. We've put animal ash in those charms, because people's animals are their kids, but our jeweler has done quite a bit of them, but it doesn't make any difference. The biggest problem would be is if you cremated him and he didn't want to be cremated. That's when they get angry. Or they want to be cremated and the family says, nope, we don't care what she wanted, we're burying her. Big mistake.
Huge. Which we have a podcast coming up here a little bit out. The mom. So keep an eye out for that one. And she made sure she was getting what she wanted.
That's right.
So Kathy says Canterbury Road runs through Bay Village. I'm not sure if it goes through Westlake or North Olmsted. So it's and Lachelle wants to know, did we know how those three passed? And
One said that they were putting blood in them, and the other one said he just couldn't breathe, and he just was dead. And
the other one
I
was
think we should not say what the other one, how the other. Listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
It might surprise you.
I see, like Laura says, she says Canterbury is over by Popeyes in Lorraine, so on Lorraine Road in front of the store.
So see, it's still in that general area.
There was a question from Stacy. It says, can perceptions of ghosts or spirits change from one person to another, such as to one person a spirit may look 15, but to another person in their 30s?
When you see them in a dream, that is the age that most people, as an older person or an adult, will go back to an age where they look good. As far as an earthbound spirit, if somebody can see them as clear as I see them, you're going to see them the age that they died, not a different age. They change ages when they go into the light, not earthbound.
So like that little girl, about the only way the age perception might change is if you suck at guessing ages. Really?
Right. Or she didn't know, And I've already asked an earthbound spirit that looked, I would have guessed them to be 65. And how old are you? Well, you don't ask a lady her age. Yeah, well, these people, you live in their house. How old are you? I'm not telling you. And that's when I'll look at the homeowner and go, well, she won't tell me, but she looks pretty ragged. I'd say maybe 80.
You said ragged.
Oh my gosh. I am not. I'm only 65. Oh, well, there you go.
Well, that's how you get it. Yeah. It's all semantics, Marianne. It's Stacy. Why are they earthbound?
Kids is pretty easy to tell you. Even if a child is, well, if it's an accidental death, that's almost worse than knowing your child is sick and they were going to die. But you got to remember, even kids not younger than 3, but even kids are there at their funeral. And don't tell me that the parents and the grandparents and friends of the family aren't sobbing because this child is dead. And the kid thinks they should stay with their parents. Or Roger, he was funny. He didn't like his sister, right?
Yeah, he didn't like his sister, and he wasn't a super big fan of the little girl that was just
right. But he was 13 years old,
Yeah.
so that figures. But an adult, they definitely, that's pretty much how that works.
Like the whole time with the 2 little kids last night, I kept thinking of like the Little Rascals, where you got the rough and tough Rumble boy and the little girl that likes him, and he's like,
Darla. Darla loved him, right?
Yeah.
Alfalfa.
Right. Dear Alfalfa, or Dear Darla, you wanna puke. And like even towards the end where Bruce was like, I'll take them, and he was like, oh, fine, I'll go with her.
Well, and I think he knew they were going to go, but I think it was just him being nice, making sure he was going to like push them along, get in there, kids, you're going. So
right. Let's see. Oh, Lewis said he loved the video of you riding that merry-go-round.
Oh, thank you so much. Making myself sick on that thing.
It's moving pretty quick. I mean, it was 9 miles an hour on
which is the fastest carousel in Ohio. And you wouldn't think 9 miles an hour is very fast, but yeah, it is, especially when the horse in front of you is going up and down and you're going this way.
Right.
Way too much.
And then he asks, what actually happens with quincies? Do spirits hit like a wall? Do they get pushed away? Or is it like smudging where they are just so tired they can't get near you?
I would say that that's pretty good explanation. It's almost like the invisible force that you see. It's like they can't get through to it, and it just stops them cold. And the closer they get to a quincy, I don't think it hurts them because they don't have a body, but it affects their energy enough where they don't take them down, they don't touch them. But and that's why, like Jules said, that her seed is cracked. Either somebody was trying to put negative energy on her, or an earthbound spirit was close to her, but it still works 100%. So
Mhm.
don't ever worry about that.
Um, is it like a bird flying through a window pane or trying to get through? And so now, like, I have that mental sound of a ghost trying to like thump.
Yeah, no, no. They just walk to it and stop and sort of back up.
Let's see. And Rhonda says, I gotta say, when the quincees went up at my house, it felt like a dome had been placed over the whole house energetically.
And that's pretty much what it does. Like one of those glass, what are those glass cake plate things? You can put the pretty glass dome over, or the cheese with the glass dome. Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Da, 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 da. Yeah, Lewis says, didn't you once say that your relatives in Italy supply them to you? How do they make them do what they do?
They do some kind of energy work to them. I have no clue what they do. I don't even want to know what they do. And whatever it is that they are doing absolutely works. But I really think it's interesting. You don't see it now, but for anybody that's listening that's probably over 50 anyway, think back to your grandparents' houses. I'm going to say probably a lot of our relatives came over from Europe. Both sides, mine did, and I mean, there's history there. And they planted things here that they were used to having in their villages wherever they lived. And I think it's amazing that back in the day, there were a lot of houses that you would go to that actually had quince. A quince isn't a tree; it's a bush. Had quince bushes. The other thing that's always around the doors is chicks and hens,
Mm.
and there's always a lot of and so many people grow sage.
Hmm.
You could grow sage in a flower pot. So, it, so how much of that stuff did they bring back with them, you wonder?
Well, and then like the chicks and hens is part of the recipe for keeping the fairies out.
That's
So, uh,
exactly right.
hmm.
And how many doors, roses, there's something with roses, and a lot of older folks have roses planted right up to their front steps.
Hmm.
There's a reason for all of that.
Well, I know rose is one of those versatile plants in a lot of energetic work, but it falls under protection because of the thorns on the stem. So it's supposed to ward off anything negative trying to get in or pass.
Right.
So I was not upset that there's a rose bush out by the store here at the ranch, and apparently I'm the only one that takes care of it. The groundskeepers never do anything, or so I go out there and trim it and keep the little petals and stuff, and it's pretty. And I'm like, why don't you take care of this rose bush? They could care less.
It's your job.
It is my job while I'm living here.
That's
Yes.
right. It's your job. So.
Well, and didn't I ever tell you about the rose bush at my old house? How we kept trying to kill it and it would not die. And it was so old that when it would bloom, it would already look sickly.
Was it a climber?
Yes.
You can't kill those things. The roots go to China. I swear they do.
I mean, for years, salting, burning, like everything. And it was the siding on the house was wood and it was crawling and messing up the siding. And it was right by one of the utility meters. And so needed to keep that. I'm like, like we can try and move it. But again, with the roots. And I'm like, oh my God. So for like 2 years, we thought we achieved it. It was gone for 2 summers. And then the time that I go and put the house up, I'm out there cleaning. I'm like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding, it's back. I'm like, well, you live here now. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
You win, I'm leaving.
Let somebody else deal with it, right? And chances are, after 2 years, when it comes back, it's probably going to be just fine till it gets too old and woody again.
Probably. And now it's somebody else's problem who's in the house.
That's right.
So it seems like YouTube's given some issues. It had the wrong start time, which it should have said 10, but some people said it said 2 for some silly reason. Which I went back and looked and it was 10. And then a couple people had to jump over to Instagram because they were losing sound on YouTube. So it seems like YouTube is having some issues, and thanks for hanging in there, guys. You can jump to any of the other platforms. The Instagram is Goddess Elite if you need to jump to Instagram. And Rebecca says, when your house is protected by quinceads, you sleep so much better.
Well, that's the truth.
Let's see. There was a question about, here we go. Laura says, my brother passed 10 years ago, but I don't think he ever came around. Can they choose not to come around?
Yeah, they can. And keep this in mind, though, too. A lot of times, first of all, if you're positive they crossed over and you have not had a dream of them yet, a lot of times they're afraid that if they come to you in a dream, that it's going to upset you. And that's why they don't come. So if you know that your brother is appearing in a sibling's dream or a relative's dream, tell that relative the next time you dream of my brother, tell him I won't be upset. He can come to me in a dream. Get the message to him that you're going to be a big girl about it and you're not going to scream and carry on and have a, some kind of a hissy fit if he, and sad if he comes, because that's what they don't want.
Let's see. How did we meet and start working together, Marianne? How many years ago did we say that was?
Well, when were you working? I mean, I think I met you the first time in Borders at Tower City.
Yeah.
So you would know better when you were the manager there. I don't have any idea.
You want me to do math?
That was way before Ghost Whisperer.
Ghost Whisperer had been out, and I think you were kind of winding down a little bit from it. Because I remember at one point you had given me that that poly-like board that the publisher had sent to you to put up on your table at author signings.
Oh, yes.
And I think if I remember correctly, the first time I accompanied you for a book signing was at the Copper Top golf course. And that was,
it was for cancer or something. I did a fundraiser for them. And that was, and you had taken boxes of books, and before I was done speaking, there wasn't a book left, remember?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We had dream bags there and smudge. There was, and there was only about 150 people there. The stuff just disappeared. I was so shocked. But I think that's about the same time that we met, I think.
Yeah, and what's funny, Danielle, I don't remember her last name, but she was the manager for the Borders in
Parmatown, because I did a bunch of readings there, right?
Yeah, and she actually reached out to me, wondering if I would be open to working with you, because her job was changing in the company, that she was going to be able to do it anymore.
Right.
And thankfully, she was like, "That's the one who will work with her, hopefully," and kind of put us in touch with one another.
And at the time, and I don't know where they are now, or they still may be there, but WMMS studios were on the top floor of Tower City. And it was obviously October, my Halloween month, that I was down in Tower City like 5 o'clock in the morning to do their morning show. And for sure, that's where, and I know the one time that I did a signing at the store, I had been up there for Halloween and just came right down and did the book signing by you then.
Kelly, do me a favor, please resend it. I saw it come through, but I was looking for it and I can't find it. I think Google maybe swallowed it up. So send it for me so I can pull that information and we'll reference it here in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was his sister's name, Joyce. That's right.
Yeah. So please just resend to me. That way I have it. I don't know what's going on with Google. Which, funny, it seems to be Google because Google owns YouTube and some people are having issues with YouTube.
I think it's amazing how fast people can find these people.
Yeah.
I'm just floored at that.
Rhonda about my rose. She's a little rose food and it would bloom again. You pruned it and made it stronger, probably.
Probably.
I made my own job harder trying to kill it off. But it would bloom, and they reminded me, I think it was, what do they call them? Like teacup roses, because they were only like yay big. But like when they would bloom for like a day, they would be pretty and velvety, but within 24 hours from that, they would start splitting and turning brown and like just sick.
Yeah, see, it was just too old of a bush.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, you got to quit scraping paint off the house. You got to, quit making it hard for the meter man,
Right.
Because the one guy was like, this is worse than having dogs in the yard. Like this rose bush will not let me, and I'm like, I trim it. I do the things. I'm like, you know what? You're gone. You're just not playing nice. Yes, please. The Gmail one. Let's see. So Jackie says, my ex-husband passed away last week. I'm sorry. My son is having him cremated. However, there will be no showing or burial until spring. When will he have a chance to cross over?
Jackie, it'll be his choice. If somebody that he sees in the light that he's really close to or longs to see, he'll cross over. Just because the final memorial service won't be till spring doesn't mean he will stick around that long. He can cross over anytime he chooses to. He can choose to stay and wait and see what, is going to happen, or he could go and he could still come back and see what you've done. He just wouldn't be there. So it's his choice, whatever he wants to do. But he will have his light until the final memorial service. Oh. Which means, just Jackie, think about this, because I know your house is protected. He's not stuck. He's got his white light. He can come in your house because he's not officially stuck and he hasn't lost his white light. So just people have to realize that when somebody first dies and your house is secure, they can still come in because they are not stuck.
Laura from Instagram says, hi, Marianne.
Hey.
She says, I'm so glad to catch this. So we do this every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. It is always on the store's YouTube, Marianne's YouTube, both of our Facebook pages and Twitch. So if there's not always Instagram available, today I was able to put that in. But if you go to one of those other channels, you can catch it every Wednesday morning as we do it. And you can go back and watch the old ones too. Heather asks Marianne, have you ever had any pleasant dream visits from loved ones that you'd be willing to share?
Oh, yeah. I've had dreams with my father and, oh, yeah, I've had good dreams. The only one that ever screams at me is my grandmother. Go figure. So, but no, it's in their, they're personal dreams. Remember going fishing with him or camping with him or, ice skating with him. So yeah, they're always good.
Karen said it made her sad that Roger had his Halloween outfit picked out 6 days and was looking forward. And
I know. I think I asked him.
Did you find out what his costume is going to be?
Superman. He was going to be Superman. Yeah.
Because Superman's from Ohio too.
Yes, he was. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
That he was going to be and back then, yeah, he would have been right there with it, right?
Sure, Laura, you can ask a question. I can't put yours up on the screen because the Instagram isn't connected into the streaming software, but I'll read it out loud for you. Lewis is asking if either one of us subscribe to the belief that psychic abilities are more prominent in certain families, like it's not just random people, but passed down through generations.
I seriously believe that every nationality has somebody in it that can do this. And all I can go is by my own family. My grandmother could do it. My mother could not. I could do it. One daughter can, one daughter can't. And I have no grandchildren, so it's pretty much going to stop there. But so I really think that, and people say the Italians or the gypsies, but everybody has ability. It's whether it's developed and you use it or not.
Mm. I kind of think it's like it is an ability that for some families can be a little bit stronger, but anybody can learn to do it. Kind of like art. You'll have families where every other person is good at drawing or something.
Or music, right.
You can go learn to play a piano. You can go learn to draw. You can learn to throw pottery. There's always that. Some people just seemed a little bit easier to do it for them, be it just maybe because grandma did it. They're used to it. They're open minded to it. It's not weird. So they have like this, well, I'm like, oh, that would be cool if I could do it too.
Right. The other thing too is like, if I say the word mafia to you, or everybody thinks of Guido, the Italian down the street, but there is mafia in every nationality. So, but because of The Godfather, thank you so much, all three of them, it's always the Italians. But it's everybody. I mean, if you listen to I think it's NCIS Los Angeles, it's always the Russian mafia. So it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And sometimes maybe it's not called mafia, maybe it's cartel.
That's right.
Maybe
same difference, fancier word.
Yeah. Everybody giving Jackie love. Where are we at time-wise? Okay, we got about 10 minutes before 11. So, and there were a couple of questions I'm not blatantly ignoring, but we can't answer questions in this format for you if you have spirits or a loved one with you. You can see us, Marianne can't see you. If you think that you might have earthbounds in your house that are causing problems or a portal, you can join a Zoom session where Marianne can actually see you. This is limited to 20 people. And you can ask 2 questions. You can ask if you have spirits. You can ask if you have a portal. Marianne can also see fairies, because sometimes the nuisances in the house aren't ghosts. They're those little bitty pains in the butts that are causing problems. So this is how you join. And it is limited. So try not to wait till the last minute. The next one coming up is October 24th, which is a Monday. Starts at 7:30. Please make sure you adjust for a time change if you are out of the Eastern Standard Time, because we are Eastern Standard. So it starts 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. But come on in. You can ask questions. The new people go first, because we do have people that will come back just to, maybe they come in and they go, I got ghosts, and Marianne sends them seeds. And then they come on the next one to make sure it's safe to go ahead and put it up. So join us from there. And so Laura's question, here's a good example of that, is Marianne, is our house still protected since you came out in 2016? And so that's where you could get on the Zoom.
Good idea.
And Marianne can check for you, or be like, no, you must be missing a seed because there's people.
Something going on, right.
Yeah. Vangela says, since you can see them on Zoom, can you see them on TV?
No, everybody asks me that. I cannot. That's one of the reasons why I thought when Melissa suggested Zoom, why I didn't really think I was going to be able to do it because I can't see him on TV. But I was wrong. And before you take another one, don't forget this Monday, the 25th, is the new moon. And it is at 6:49 a.m., which isn't too bad. I mean, a lot of us are up by 6 in the morning. And if not, set your clock. But it's also a solar eclipse. So this is going to be a really good new moon to not to forget to write out your law of abundance.
So Sandy says, to do a Zoom, do you have to have a laptop? Do you need to move around in the room? You do not, though the Zoom works on desktops, laptops, iPads, tablets. You could literally just have your camera on sitting in front of a white wall and Marianne can see everything going on in the house. She just has to be able to see you where you're at. Now, that being said, you have to be in the building on this Zoom that your question is about. So you can't be on break at work asking about your house. She can tell you what's going on in your workplace, not at your house because you're not there. So make sure you are able to be in the building that your question is about, and nobody under 18. So little ones need to be playing in another room with big brother, big sister, or the other spouse, or spending the night somewhere else, though on a Monday night, kind of hard to do sleepovers. But they don't need to hear what's going on in their house or what goes on in other people's houses and let their minds run wild. Let's see. Let's see. I think... yes, your phone does work too. So you can do Zoom on your phone, on your smartphone. Marianne, you have an event coming up that is almost...
On December 4th. It's a Sunday. It's in the hotel in Middlebrook Heights in the afternoon. And we put it up about a week ago and it's pretty full already. So if this is something that you think you might want to do, check out my website. And because the hotel is limiting us to how many people we're allowed to have because of staffing. Now, I don't know what's so hard to put up chairs, but at any rate, it must be terribly taxing. So I'm only allowed so many people there, but try to sign up. I think people really enjoy it. The other thing is this week, at 11 p.m., I will be on with Raleigh she's in Arizona, but the show comes out of Chicago, WGN Radio. So I'll be on for an hour with her from 11 to 12. On Halloween, I've already taped a piece for Channel 3. We'll be doing that. That was pretty interesting. A couple ghosts in that house. And on Halloween, I will be on with George Noory on Coast to Coast from 1 to 3 a.m. in the morning. Now, stay with me on this. The show starts in California at 10 p.m. on Halloween. It's live, but our time zone is 1 a.m. So I will be on live with him actually on November 1st from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. in the morning taking calls. But it is their Halloween show. So, listen to that. It's always interesting. The book club next month is The Awake Dreamer. And it is on the 20th. Nope. The third Tuesday of next month, whatever that date is. I don't know. Book club. 11:15. I wrote it down. I just couldn't read my writing. 11:15. Please, if you want this to continue, you're going to have to show up. We're not going to keep doing this. Automatically, I can already tell you there won't be a book club in December because everybody's too busy in December. But I would like to keep it going. If you guys are interested, please come next month, and we'll keep it going.
Only because this is going to be a fun question, at least for me, because I'm already just kind of like, nah. Melody says the priest said animals can become possessed. Would doing negative energy removal get rid of it?
Which could you? I'm very curious to know which. Is this a Catholic church, and in what state are you in?
My first thought is rabies.
Pardon?
My first thought is rabies illness.
I've never seen an animal be possessed. I mean, I don't know. I've never seen a ghost devil dog come out of a dog. I don't know. I've never seen anything like that. So the monsignors and the bishops that I know personally, they don't go along with that. But again, everybody has their own opinion on things.
Yeah. If the whole thing of like possession is to conquer, take over, or to gain some sort of benefit, right? Like, why would you choose a dog over a human?
Yeah, that just doesn't make any sense. Now, one of my greatest, no, I have to be careful what I say here because we have to be good.
I agree. Take the animal to the vet.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure the dog isn't sick, number one. But for people that do dog fights and the dog dies and there are animal spirits, seriously, I would love if one of those dogs didn't cross over and gave the handler that threw them in that pit to fight
a hard time.
A real interesting life. I wouldn't mind that one little bit. And in all honesty, if they called, I wouldn't go get rid of the dog ghost either. Can't do it
that way. We agree.
Can't do it.
If nothing else, I'm like, how do I find more of you? Come, all of you here. Terrorize this human because they are crap.
That's right.
Let's see. Okay, well, I think we're done with some questions here, and thanks everybody for joining in. And if you've already listened to the podcast, if not, go ahead, take a listen. Let us know. Come back and talk about it next week. We have another episode that's already set to go for next week, so we're making up a bank. So, Marianne, you are not running out of stories anytime soon.
No, I just have to go pull another bin out of the garage with notes and say, oh yeah, I remember that one.
You need a WTF box. I think there's letters that you have forgotten that you have that are just prime for the next WTF letters recording.
Well, if I forgot the ones that I don't remember, they had to be 1,000 times worse than the ones we've done.
So go find them. We need those.
We need those letters. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I just wonder how much more bizarre can they get.
And Melanie says he's an exorcist for the Catholic Church.
Never heard of him, to be honest with you. So, and again, everybody has their own opinions. And I've learned just because I haven't seen it or done it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But I like to go with what I know.
Right. Well, everybody, thanks for joining. Catch us next Wednesday at 10 a.m. for another fun live question and answer session on all the things. I think we are slowly taking over every single platform. If I had another phone, I'd throw it up on TikTok too, but I don't. I guess I could steal my kid's phone, but he might frown upon that. So we are slowly taking over all the socials. So
if they want them, they got them. They can listen.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
there.
trying to make it to where you can't not join us. So,
Right. Thanks so much, everybody, for coming on, and we will see you next Wednesday.
all right. Have a good day, guys.